Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 3 o'clock with SOC. Really glad to be here with you on this Monday. Give me just a second so I can welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors. Buenas tardes, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en otro foro comunitario 3 en punto con SOC. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar el programa en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Hay que marcar a 646-749-3122 y el código para entrar es 779-328-221. Also remember that even if you can't be with us at 3 on the dot, we always have these videos available for you all after the fact on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. So again, if you can't make it at the live, they are always on our Facebook page and our YouTube page for you to view later on or to share. My name is Gabe Charles. I am the Civic Engagement Manager here at Southside Organizing Center. As always, Mondays is Civic Day, so we're looking forward to being here with you to talk about a bunch of different topics. But if you need to get in touch with me when it's not Monday or SOC in general, you can call us, you can email us, you can check out our website. Our phone number is 414-672-8090. Our email is soc@socmilwaukee.org. And our website is socmilwaukee.org. So you can access all of our information on our website, email us with any questions, or give us a ring if you have some questions. I also want to remind you all to fill out the SOC survey. We love having people fill out the survey. It gives us feedback to make this forum as useful for you all as possible. Gives you the opportunity to suggest ideas, to give us feedback on things that could be done better. It's a constant improvement. This forum has evolved over the past 120 episodes now that we've done it. So please give us that feedback. We love to know what you all think. And that survey always appears in the comments. So the link to the survey is in the comments for all of you. I want to remind you all that we are all working virtually from home here at SOC. As you can see, I'm here with my kitty right now. She's just hanging out on the bed. But we are working virtually from home, so that's why you don't see us wearing masks. If we were working at the office and we were all together, we would absolutely be adhering to the mask policy, and we hope that all of you do as well. We want to make sure people are staying safe and following that mask rule because it truly does make a difference. Other than that, I want to know who's here today. How about those that are listening or watching? Just give us a thumbs up, give us a smiley face, give us a like, whatever it is that you want to comment to let us know that you're listening. We can always see the number of people that are watching, but not who is watching. So we love to see new faces. Just give us a quick hi or emoji, whatever it may be. We would love to know that you're here watching with us. As always, I want to give a disclaimer as well that the views and opinions expressed today are not necessarily those of SOC or our funders. This is a nonpartisan game, so we do like to give the opportunity to people to share their opinions, though, so just know that that is something we have to share. But yeah, so today is Civic Day, like I mentioned. We're really excited to have Eileen Newcomer on, who is the Voter Education Manager at the League of Women Voters Wisconsin. So we'll be having a discussion with her about some resources that they have on their website about how to know what's coming up on your ballot, how to know what candidates might be thinking or what their opinions might be on different issues, and just in general, how you can decide what candidate makes sense for you. The rest of the week, we have some other amazing guests with us. On Wednesday, which is our Spanish language forum with Tammy, we're going to be talking with someone from the Mexican consulate. Ingrid Fernandez will be with us from the Council for Legal Affairs. And then Thursday, which is COVID Day, Marlene, our coronavirus coordinator, will be talking with Paul Krupsey from the Department of Health about the opioid overdose cases that have increased since the pandemic. So we've got some really interesting topics coming up for everybody this week. So you'll definitely want to tune in. And yeah, so with that, I would love to invite on Eileen Newcomer, who I mentioned was the voter education manager for League of Women Voters. Hello, Eileen.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me join you today. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, so are we. So are we. We're really thankful that you were able to join us today. So I introduced you, I introduced your title. Why don't you just give us a little bit of information about what the League of Women Voters is, what it does in Wisconsin, and maybe a little bit about your role specifically.
Sure. So the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin is a state organization, but we are connected to the National League of Women Voters. And then also we have 20 local leagues across the state as well. And altogether, we focus on the mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. We do this by educating voters and providing resources, doing things like registration drives, text banking, other outreach, and then we also advocate on issues as well. We are a political organization, but we are staunchly nonpartisan, meaning that we don't support or oppose any political parties or candidates. And then for me in my role at the league, I am the voter education manager. And so I work with our local leagues to provide resources and connect them to each other so they can share best practices and I guess improve their outreach to their communities. And then I also put together our nonpartisan voter guide, Unvote 411, which we'll be going through here in a few minutes. And then I also run our election observation program, and that's where we recruit volunteers to go and observe polling places on election day. And we're able to gather a lot of really great data about, what's being done right at polling places, so that best practices again can be shared from one community to another, and then identify issues that need to be addressed so that we can make recommendations so that future elections go better.
I imagine your job has been a whirlwind during the pandemic, given that so much has had to change. I know mine has as well. So we thank you for all that you do, and we're looking forward to going through that voter guide. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen, and then we can start going through that right away.
Sure. Yep, so I'm sharing my screen right now, and I wanted to start. Is it up now?
Yep.
Great. And I wanted to start just by going to our website. It's lwvwi.org. And then I can show you where you can find voter information. We have information in English and in Spanish.
Excellent. And just so everyone knows, we are sharing this website in our comments as well. So you could even go ahead and look through this as we're going through it as well, if you want to go ahead and click on that website. But it is in the comments for those that want to access it.
Great. And so this is our voter information homepage, and we have a lot of different great information here on how to register to vote, photo ID, where to find your sample ballot. This is a really great place to start when you start the process of investigating which candidates you want to vote for. It's important to know who is going to be on the ballot and who you need to start researching. So this button here leads you to the My Vote website, where you can find exactly who's going to be on your ballot. Information on how to find a polling place, absentee voting, other information. I know we want to focus on learning about the candidates and issues. And on this page, we have a little widget so you can type in your address and go directly to My Vote. And I will go there in a few minutes, but I also wanted to spend some time on other information that we have about how to judge a candidate. So one of the questions that we get from people is, who do I vote for? And as a nonpartisan organization, we're not here to tell anyone, who to vote for, but we do want to give people resources on how to decide what candidates best reflect their personal values, so that they can make the right choice for them. So here on the website, if you click on this link here, it takes you to the 7 steps that the National League of Women Voters have put together to help you walk through and make your own decision about, which candidate best aligns with your personal values and who you want to see in this leadership role. So I'm just going to give, kind of a quick overview of what's available here, and feel free to spend more time on the site later at a later time.
Perfect. Yeah, an overview would be great.
Oh, okay, good. So the first step, as I said, is just thinking through, what are your personal values, and who do you want to see in a leadership position. So the first step is really very introspective into what it is that you're looking for and the issues that you care most about it. And then the second step, figuring out who's on the ballot. I showed you where you can go find the candidates that are going to be on the ballot. It's great to see, see the sample so that you can get prepared and, show up on election day, with your list of candidates that you want to vote for, or if you're voting absentee, it's helpful to have that research done before you get in front of your witness to fill out your ballot. Step 3 is to actually start doing the research. So thinking through what resources you want to use in your process to learn about the candidates. Of course, we have Vote 411. That's the league's candidate resource. And like I said, I will walk you through in a minute about what's available on that site. But there are other resources available as well. So you could look at candidate interviews with different media, news articles or stories about the candidates. Take a look at their websites to see, what their stances are and any policies that they have posted. Attending a candidate forum is a great way to see candidates either live, in non-COVID times, or virtually, and get your questions answered by candidates. So those are just some ideas of ways you can start researching the candidates. And then step 4 is to start evaluating the candidate stances on the issues. And so it's really helpful to take some notes as you're going through the process to keep track of the issues you care about most, and then what those candidates have to say about those issues. Step 5 is about learning the candidates, style and their leadership abilities, and deciding, are they qualified for this office? Do you think that they're a good fit and they're going to be a good leader if elected to serve the community in that way? Step 6 is talk to other people, see what other people have to say about the candidates and how that might inform your own opinion. Whether talking to people in the community, learning about other organizations that maybe have endorsed candidates and why they endorse those candidates. Looking into who the candidate supporters are, and if maybe they align with you or maybe don't align with you. And then also taking a look at any opinion polls about the candidates too can help you kind of think through your support of a particular candidate. And so then kind of the final step is taking all that research and taking a look at it and weighing, so which candidate is the one that best aligns with your values and is going to take the action that you want to see on the different issues, and then also is qualified for the office and you think will do a good job in completing their duties. And once you go through that process, if somebody stands out, that's how you decide, and that's how you can make your voice heard on who you want to support in the election.
Yeah, I really like what it says there about see-through distortion techniques, because we do know that everyone's trying to sell themselves, and candidates are going to, sometimes say what they think the voters want them to hear. So being able to discern those different, distortion or manipulation techniques is really important as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And On the site, we have some common techniques that are used by candidates and parties, and sometimes they're just trying to pivot the conversation, and it's good to keep in mind some of the ways that they might be trying to sway you that aren't necessarily grounded in their positions or even necessarily factually based.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool that you all have that on there. And I also really loved what you said about looking into different organizations who they may have endorsed, because especially if you know an organization that you've seen in the community doing really great work, to know who they endorse is to know, someone that is probably going to be good for your community.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think you can look at it both ways. So, what are some organizations that you think are doing good work and align with you, and maybe looking at the candidates that they support. And it can go the other way if there is an organization where
Right.
like, ooh, I don't like them and they're endorsing this candidate. I got to figure out why it is that they like that person so much.
Absolutely. Well, great. That's a really great guide with those 7 steps. And then I'm sure it goes even further down with some other information in that 7th step.
Yeah, so there's some more information on here just about, how people candidates use television, and are they performing, and that's why you got to decide if it's just like the performance of them that you're appealed to, or if it's them as a person in the job that they're looking to do. And then we also have some resources available on this site too. So I walk through doing your research and seeing what issues you care about, and thinking through like what your position is on that issue, and then keeping track of what the different candidates have to say on that particular issue. So we have some resources here as an example of a way that you can do that tracking and make some notes. And you can download them, and similar thing for the leadership qualities as well. Thinking through what do you want to see in your leaders? Are they really responsive to voters? Are they flexible? How do you know what their integrity is? And then once you have decided who you want to support, there are definitely a lot of things that you can do to show your support for that candidate. Voting is just one of the things that you should do and can do, but you can also talk to your friends and family and try and help other people see what you see in that candidate.
Nice. That's very, very cool that you can download that report card.
Should I go into taking a look at Vote 411 now?
Yeah, perfect. That's a great idea.
Great. Okay. So vote411.org is the league's voter information tool. We've got a ton of info on the site, from registering to vote, photo ID information, absentee and early voting information as well. And it's really great because you can type in your address and get information that is personalized to where you live. And it's a nationwide tool. So if you move to another state, this is still a resource that you can come back to. Although right now I'm going to focus on the candidate information that's available on the site, which is populated by us at the state level, and then also by local leagues in the communities that they work in as well. So to find candidate information, what you do is you click on the What's on Your Ballot button, and then enter your address. For this example, I'm going to type in SOC's address so that we can see something local to Milwaukee.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, our address is 1300 South Layton Boulevard. When we are all back in person, we'll be happy to have a visit from you all there. 53215.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
had it up, but I trying to check back between two screens. So once you type in your address, you get directed to this screen. One of the great things about Vote 411 is we also have information in Spanish as well as English. So once you type in your address, you can actually choose your language, either English or Spanish.
Great.
For this example, I'm going to go through it in English. So I just click go to my races, and you can see the different races that we have candidate information for. You know, big one that everyone's thinking about is the presidential election, but there are a lot of local races and down ballot races that, sometimes they're the harder ones to get to find candidate information for. So that's why I really like this tool.
Definitely.
So let me click on the presidential one just to give an overview of what is available. So what we
Is it possible for you, Eileen, sorry, to zoom in on your browser a little bit? Maybe we would, if you could do that, we could read it a little better. I think the top right arrow, the red one. Yeah, if you click that, I think you can zoom it in. Yeah, awesome. Maybe one more. Perfect. Yes, much better.
Is that better? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So at the top, we have kind of a description of what the job is, what the duties are of that particular office. And I know that can be really helpful too in evaluating candidates. It's like for some of the, especially the more local races, I'm like, I'm not even sure what these people do. So it's
Right.
hard to evaluate a candidate if you don't know you're supposed to be evaluating them against.
Exactly.
So we have the description. We have the list of candidates that are on the ballot. And if you want to compare candidates, you just click on their name or their picture and then click compare. And you can see some biographical information, which for this particular one is mostly just the campaign website links and Facebook and email. And so if you have questions for a candidate, you can find their contact information, shoot them a question about what their thoughts are on a particular issue. You can go here, you can find links to their website, so you don't have to do the research yourself. You can just come here as a one-stop shop and a jumping off point. And then we have different questions that the league has asked candidates, and if they've answered, this is where their responses are. And not every candidate always chooses to respond to our questions, but we do include all the candidates in our guide, and have asked all the candidates to respond, and are continuing to follow up to get even more participation.
And so these are responses to questions that come directly from the league.
Correct. Yep. So we pose questions to the candidates, and then they respond. We don't do any editing for them. It's just like, whatever the candidate wants to say, we just publish it. So
Awesome. Can we go through a few of the questions, just like what kinds of questions that they get asked, not necessarily the responses?
Oh, sure. So one of the questions that we asked the presidential candidates is, what actions would you take to balance public health and economic recovery in the U.S., both in light of COVID-19 and for the long term?
Great question.
This next one is kind of more of a general one about what is the most important issue facing our country and how do you plan to address it during your first 100 days in office? How will you address racial injustice in our country on day one of your administration? What aspects of our current immigration policy will your administration address first? And then the last question we asked the presidential candidates was, what will you do over the long term to ensure access to quality healthcare for all?
Great.
So we ask questions on a range of different topics, and they do vary from, I guess, race to race or office to office. Trying to ask questions that are maybe some of the most pressing ones for that particular office. I guess scroll to the next one. Here we have information about congressional race for District 4, description of what Congress does in English and in Spanish. We include independent candidates as well, so maybe I'll just compare these two. And again, people don't always reply, but there are questions about, what are your priorities for your term in office and your specific qualifications. Got a question about climate change, and government's role in addressing climate change. Question about criminal background checks for gun sales, and then a question about immigration as well.
Yep. Well, hopefully some of those candidates respond soon so we can see a comparison in a more meaningful way. But those are some really interesting questions to be navigating. And even if they don't respond, having that description of the duty and the position that they're running for is really, really interesting and helpful for voters.
Yeah, I agree with those things, and we are always working to try and get more and more candidates to respond. And sometimes some areas people are more responsive than others. And one thing other people can do is if the candidates know that they want to hear from, if they know that voters want to hear from them and want them to respond to our guide, it can encourage them to participate as well.
Definitely. Is there anything else you wanted to show us on the Vote 411 voter guide, or is that a pretty good overview of what y'all have?
That is a pretty good overview. One thing that is helpful on the guide that you can do is if you, as you go through, if there are certain candidates that you like and you want to make a selection, this is just an example that I'm checking this box, but you can check them, and then once you go through, let's see. You can have like a cheat sheet with your selections that you've made. Okay. Anyway, so you can make yourself like a little cheat sheet of the selections that you've made, and that can be helpful for you to take with you when you go vote, or if you want to refer to that while you're absentee voting.
Did you think there was an option to print it out? Is that something that might be coming, or maybe just we have to figure out where it is located to be able to print it?
So National owns the site, and they recently updated it this year. And on the old version, there was a way where you could email it or print it to yourself.
Oh, cool.
And I think you can still do that on this version, but clearly I haven't played around with it enough to demonstrate that aspect.
But yeah, that's definitely really helpful as well, because I know there's so many. This race isn't necessarily, it doesn't have so many options, but other elections do have tons of names that one has to remember. So having that option to email to yourself or print it out is really cool.
Yeah, I agree, especially in the primaries when there's so many candidates, and sometimes it's hard to distinguish between them.
Absolutely. Well, Eileen, thank you so much for sharing with us those resources. Before you go, how about you just let people know for you why it's so important that people should be voting? Why should someone take the time to request their absentee ballot or go early vote or make sure they make it to the polls on November 3rd?
Yeah, it's so important that we all participate, because we want our elected officials to reflect and be responsive to the communities that they serve. And if they don't hear from all of us, then that's not the case, and they reflect the few people who showed up to vote. And voting in elections are one of the key ways that we share power in our country. And if we don't, accept the responsibility of voting and claim our power by voting, then we've given that up. And I think it's so important that we all make our voices heard, because I think generally we know what we want to see in our communities, and we need to make sure that that's what happens.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your opinion on that. And I would definitely echo that. We need to make sure that those that are in office reflect all of the population. And if only certain people are voting, then it's not gonna be an accurate reflection. So Eileen, thank you so much for being with us. Is there any last minute thoughts you have that you want to leave with our residents that are viewing today?
Um, just go out there and vote. And if you need help, there's help out there. We are more than happy to answer any questions that anyone might have, and there are a lot of resources out there. So
Awesome. Well, Eileen, thank you, and we look forward to talking with you again.
yeah, me too. Thank you again.
Awesome. Talk to you later.
Yep, talk to you later.
We're really thankful to Eileen from the League of Women Voters Wisconsin for guiding us through those resources. It's really interesting how they have it laid out. So I would definitely suggest that all of you go ahead and go to the comments and click on the link that was shared so you can all navigate it and explore it on your own, and to see what candidates you might have heard about or are interested in, to see what they have to say about those different questions that were asked. Very thankful to Eileen for that. And honestly, voting is the bare minimum that we can do to participate in democracy. There's so much more to do beyond voting and holding our elected officials accountable, but taking an hour out of your day, even less than that if you do it by absentee voting, is the very least we can do to participate in our democracy. So please reach out to SOC if you have any questions or doubts about the voting process, about registration, absentee voting. We are here to provide any kind of clarification that we can about any topic, nonpartisanly, of course. And with that, I am going to go ahead and invite on our coronavirus update, which is a video that Marlene provided for us. So we can go ahead and share that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC today. My name is Marlene Zaron, and I am the COVID-19 Project Coordinator here at the Southside Organizing Center. For today's COVID-19 segment, I'm going to be going over the coronavirus disease and how working from home can really impact our health and stress, and tips and tricks you can do on a daily basis in order for you to help yourself and help your mental health during this time. So some tips that you can do right now is, this is all according to the CDC, the way that you can cope with stress and build resilience during COVID-19 is communicate with your coworkers, supervisors, and employees about job stress while maintaining social distancing. You can identify things that cause stress and work together to identify solutions. You can talk openly with employers, employees, and unions about how the pandemic is affecting work. You can talk about expectations that you want and how they should be communicated clearly by everyone. Ask about how to access mental health resources in your workplace. You can identify those things which you do not have control over and do the best you can with the resources available to you. You can increase your sense of control by developing a consistent daily routine when possible. Ideally, it's one that is similar to your schedule before the pandemic. Keep a regular sleep schedule. You can take breaks from work to stretch, exercise, or check in with your supportive colleagues, coworkers, family, and friends. You can spend time outdoors, either being physically active or relaxing. If you work from home, set a regular time to end your work for the day if possible. So that means trying not to work past 6 o'clock or whenever your time is supposed to be in. Practice mindfulness techniques. That includes being patient with yourself and others that you work with. That includes being one with yourself through a breathing exercise. A moment of silence of 5 minutes can really do a great deal in anyone's life. Or even take a break and go do another activity within your home, such as put in a load of laundry for a quick 5-minute break. Just kind of something to keep your eye off of the computer or your phone for a small amount of time. Another thing is to know the facts about COVID-19. Be informed about how to protect yourself and others. Understand the risk, and sharing accurate information with people you care about can reduce stress and help you make a connection with others. And remind yourself that each of us has a crucial role in fighting this pandemic. So that being said, I just want to let everyone know that you can find all of this information on the CDC website. I have the link in the comments if you would like more information, or if you would like to share that information with a family member or a coworker or friend that's going through a stressful time trying to manage home life and family life and COVID-19 and stress from work and just transitioning to online. Work life is stressful in itself, and especially if you have kids at home. So creating a schedule for yourself on a daily basis will not only help yourself, but also help your household and your environment as a whole. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you to Marlene for sharing that with us. Those are some really good tips. I know, especially for myself who's working from home, I need to be better about doing some things that she mentioned. So thankful to her for sharing that information. Now I want to invite on Emmett Gross, who's going to talk to us about the Foreclosure Assistance Program through Housing Resources Incorporated.
Hi,
Hello,
thank you.
how are you?
I'm good. And thanks for the opportunity to speak on this program. We're excited to get the word out about the resources that we have available.
Yeah, we know there are a lot of people that are in need for these resources, so we're thankful to have you on to share all that information. So why don't you go ahead and just go right into it. Explain a little bit about who you are and what Housing Resources Incorporated has to offer for folks.
Sure. My name is Emmett Gross. I'm a housing counselor with Housing Resources. I mostly work with foreclosure prevention work, which is what I'm talking about here today. Housing Resources is a HUD-approved NeighborWorks organization. We're one of the few HUD-approved agencies in the city that's doing this kind of work, and we're really excited about the program that we have with Milwaukee County to provide the mortgage assistance program. This is a program that can provide financial assistance, direct money to help with mortgage payments for people who have fallen behind on their mortgage due to a COVID-related incident. So if you've been out of work, reduced hours, had to take time off because the kids were out of school and fell behind on the mortgage, this program can help assist with getting caught back up on the mortgage. And that's a really exciting program because it's very rare that we actually have direct financial assistance to give to homeowners. And so we're really excited to be able to do that because, like I said, it's not an opportunity that comes up very much. So we want to make sure we get as much assistance out, as much money out as we can to help people.
Definitely. And are there any particular requirements to apply for the program?
Yeah, so there's a few requirements. First and probably foremost, the home has to be in Milwaukee County. There are some programs that are starting to roll out for some other counties, but for right now, the only assistance program is for Milwaukee County. It needs to be owner occupied, so you need to be living in the home. It's not, it can't be used for rental properties unless you happen to live in one of the units. So if you have a duplex and you're living in one of the units and renting out the other, that's fine. You can use that for up to a 4-unit building. So a triplex or a quadplex, as long as you're living in one of the units, that's fine. But if it's strictly an investment property, that wouldn't count. It has to be assistance for a first or second mortgage, so it doesn't apply to property taxes, strictly mortgage payments. The hardship, the reason that you fell behind, has to be related to COVID-19, and you have to have fallen behind after March 1st. Anything after the 1st of March, if you fell behind because of COVID, would fall into the window. That would be applicable.
Okay. And are there any requirements in terms of like proving that you tried to pay it, or that like any kind of proof that needs to be provided?
There are some documents that we require, but we worked really hard to keep the document requirement as simple as possible. So the documents that we would need, first and foremost, we would need a copy of a photo ID, because everything is working remotely. That's really the only way we have to verify that you are who you say you are. So we need that. We would need a mortgage statement from the mortgage company, and that's important because if you get approved and we release the money, we need to know how much you need to get caught back up on the mortgage, and also to see how far behind you actually are. And we would also need some documentation of hardship. So if your hours were reduced, or you were laid off, or your business closed, some kind of letter or documentation that shows that. If it's something where you're still working but your hours have been reduced, even if it's something like paychecks before event, that can show the difference in those hours, we can use that as documentation. And then there's a couple forms that we would have you fill out as well. Basically just submitting that the information you're providing is true and accurate, and a few disclosure forms. So like I said, we try to keep the process as simple as possible. Because everything is remote, it's all done online, so we didn't want people to be limited in their ability to access the program if they didn't have internet access or had technology issues. So we keep everything as simple as we absolutely can to get as many people involved as possible.
That's great, and it's always helpful for there to be less barriers to access those sorts of assistance programs. Once a person applies, how long more or less does it take for them to find out if they're approved?
So it's a 2-step application process. The first step is a 5-question kind of pre-screener, and that's just seeing if you meet the basic qualifications for the program. If your house is in Milwaukee County, if you fell behind because of COVID, and if you meet the income requirements. That review generally takes 24 to 48 hours. Once you're approved there, then you would go through the actual full application where you'd upload the documents and fill out some of the other things that we ask for. And we're trying to get those approvals within 2 weeks of a completed application. We want to try and get it done as quickly as possible because, if you're dealing with the mortgage, obviously, if it goes too long, the amount that you owe to the mortgage company increases. So we want to get it done in as tight a time frame as possible.
Great. And is there any particular difference between the foreclosure program through Housing Resources versus other programs like through Milwaukee County?
Well, there's a couple different things we're doing in relation to foreclosure. There's this program, which is we're running in conjunction with Milwaukee County. And this is the direct assistance program. We also do foreclosure counseling. So people who either they don't qualify for the program, or there's bigger issues that they want to look at in relation to the mortgage company, we can help deal directly with the mortgage company to communicate directly with them, answer any questions you might have related to the mortgage. If you're applying for some kind of workout program through the mortgage company, to get all the paperwork together and submitted to the mortgage company, That's a big part also of what we do. And that can work in conjunction with this program, or it can be completely separate. It just depends on the individual needs of the homeowners.
Okay. And then how does one apply? Is there a website? Do they have to
Yep.
mail in an application?
So there's the easiest way to apply is to go through our website. There's a link on our website that takes you right to the application process. Our website is hri-wi.org. And if you click on the button that says mortgage assistance, that will bring up all of the requirements of the program, so you can kind of review it quickly to see if you think you're going to qualify, and then you can go straight to the application process. To apply, the only thing that you need to actually do the application is an email address to create an account for the application process, and all notifications are through email. So
Okay.
make sure that once you apply, you're checking your email. And if you're using someone else's email, we've had that, where someone doesn't have an email address, but they're using a friend or a relative. That's perfectly fine. But just make sure that they're checking the email and giving you the updates, because if we have questions or need additional documents, or if the application isn't complete, all that information will be sent through email. And that's the only way that we're doing communication right now. You also, if you have questions and want to talk with a live person, we have a hotline that's staffed with people who are trained in the program and can help walk through the application process. That phone number is 414-369-6914.
414-369-6914.
Yep.
Cool. Great. So we'll make sure to share that phone number and that website in our comments, so that folks can have access to those two ways of contacting you all.
Yeah, and if you're not sure if you might meet the qualifications, you can call that hotline and they can kind of walk you through it, and kind of let you know. And I'd encourage everybody, if you're not quite sure whether you apply, it's worth doing an application to see. Time limit for the application. The last time we can take applications is December 18th. So there is a bit of a time limit, so we're encouraging people to get in and apply quickly. It's also, the money is available on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you get in and apply, the better chances are you'll be able to access that money.
Great. Well, Emmett, thank you so much for sharing all of this information with us. We know that many people will happily apply for this because it's very needed. Any last thoughts you want to share with us?
Well, like I said, if you have questions about it, call the hotline, check out our website. All the qualifications, all the issues, everything is listed on our website. And please feel free to pass the word on if it's not something that you think would benefit you, but somebody that could benefit it. Like I said, we have a very short time to be able to give away all this money, so we're wanting to get the word out as much as possible and get as many people through as possible, so we can help as many people to get current on their mortgage and get back to the point where they can start making the mortgage payment on their own. Because that's really our goal, is to, if somebody's behind, if they're in a forbearance, if they're dealing with the mortgage company, get them current, get them to be able to move ahead, and kind of put all this other stuff behind them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we will make sure to refer as many people as we can to those resources.
Thank you. We're really excited to work with as many people as we can. Like I said, this opportunity to give away money directly to help people make the mortgage payment doesn't come up very often.
Right.
So we're really excited for the chance to be able to do that. And like I said, help as many people as we possibly can.
Definitely. Well, take care, Emmett, and thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity to get the word out. It's really, like I said, we're really excited about it. We really want to get as many people through the door as possible.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So you heard it. If you know anybody that has fallen behind on their mortgage payments, please look to the comments for the information. that you can send them if you yourself have experienced some issues paying your mortgage. There are resources out there for all of you. So please, please reach out to those resources. There's a hotline and a website for everybody. And with that, I just want to share a little bit about what's coming up this week and what happened last week. I know Drea announced it for us on Friday that there was a district federal court decision that will require the Census Bureau to continue operations through October 31st, which is huge. It's so important that this happened. This is a huge victory for communities of color, especially our community, but for communities all over the country, because we know that many communities of color are more difficult to count in the census, which means that they are counted less frequently, which means less money comes to those communities. So the fact that we have more time to make sure that our community and everybody in it is getting counted is so important, and we're thankful for this court decision that came out. Initially, it was going to be ending in 2 days, but now we have a full additional month to be counting folks. So if you haven't gotten to it yet, you have more time, and there is no time to waste. So please be filling out that census. And then also, I just want to announce to everybody, if you haven't heard, that tomorrow is going to be the first presidential debate of 2020. It's going to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So definitely tune into that to hear more about what our presidential candidates have to bring to the table, what they think about different things that have been going on, COVID, racial injustice, all sorts of things will be discussed. So if you want to know what each of them are going to be thinking about these topics, you will definitely want to tune in and see that debate. And then also, we have a few more weeks to register to vote. There was a court decision that would extend the time to register to vote, but we know that these court decisions that have been made can be changed and reversed through appeals. So please get yourself registered to vote by October 14th. Only a couple more weeks to do that. And you can do that through a link that is in our comments. And then I do just want to share with you all some meetings that we have upcoming this week. Very small text, I apologize, but today we had a Millennial Task Force meeting, a Steering and Rules Committee meeting, City County Task Force on Climate Change and Economic Equity. There was a meeting for that. And then tomorrow at 9 a.m. there's a Licenses Committee meeting. Wednesday, we've got a Public Works Committee meeting at 9 a.m. and a Community Collaborative Commission meeting at 10 a.m. Also on Wednesday, a Community Economic Development Committee meeting. Also Wednesday, a Historic Preservation Committee meeting at 3 p.m. And then Thursday, a Public Safety and Health Committee meeting at 9 a.m. and a Fire and Police Commission meeting at 4:30. At 6 p.m. will be the public one. And then finally on Friday, there will be a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting at 9 a.m. So those are the meetings that we have coming up this week. Feel very free to tune into those meetings. They are important, and lots of interesting things gets discussed at them that you don't really hear on your local news. So tune into those. I will now invite our communications manager to talk about our survey.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take a quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.
I also want to share a video that one of our youth organizers made that promotes the census. So I'll go ahead and have our producer share that as well. love those TikToks that our youth organizers made. TikTok has been a huge way of sharing information in the last half a year, at least longer. So really cool that they got to incorporate that into the work that they're doing. Other than that, I just want to say again that we've got some really great guests coming up this week. We've got Ingrid Fernandez coming from the Mexican Consulate of Milwaukee. And then we've got Paul Krupski coming from the Department of Health. So you want to tune into those. And we will have other guests that will be announced throughout the week. And then, of course, that we are in solidarity with all of the folks that are out protesting. And our thoughts and prayers are always with those who have experienced their illness or loss due to COVID-19 or police brutality. So thank you everyone for watching with us, and I will leave you with a video thanking our funders.
I'm Juan. And I'm Mitzi. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show.
And for completing our SOC survey.
In addition to thanking our residents and tuning in and sharing our show.
We would also like to thank our sponsors.
Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Wisconsin Voices.
City Development Block Grant.
Zebler Foundation.
City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention.
Movement Voter Project. Tide Foundation.
City of Milwaukee Promise Zone.
12th District Alderman Jose Perez.
All the faithful individuals who support SOC
through their personal donations.
Thank you.